What's the news of the day? Hunter Biden supposedly getting a deal, a sweetheart deal, commits all these crimes, a felony when it comes to that gun and other things, and looks like, according to Hunter Biden's lawyers, that he's cutting a sweetheart deal. Now, I do need to clarify something. This is not official yet. We don't have the official word yet. It's not set in stone, but let's just move forward as if these things are going to happen, because let's be honest, these things are going to happen. This is what happens in a late-stage republic, in a corrupt nation. Remember something. I just want you to remember something. Before we move on and we get to Emma Joe, we get to some other things, there's tons of stuff on the show tonight. I want you to remember, a nation that wants to remain a nation, it reserves the worst possible punishments for people in power, for the elite, for the connected people. Have you ever read stories? I'll give you a little homework assignment, actually. You ever read stories about what the Romans would do to politicians who were caught taking bribes? Why did they do that? Why would you do such horrific things to politicians who were caught taking bribes? Well, because they understood the most horrible punishments must be reserved for people in charge, or else we're not going to last very long. We don't live in a two-tier justice system. I'm sure you've seen that all over the news today, all over the radio, TV. It's two-tier justice. We don't have two tiers of justice. That would be at least kind of okay for a while. It's not okay, but not as bad. We have a justice system for one part of society and no justice system at all for the other part of society. And until that changes, unless that changes, we simply won't be here in 100 years. We will just crumble as a nation. Hunter Biden is a criminal. The Biden family, they're criminals, despite what the media tells you.
There's no evidence that Hunter Biden has done anything wrong.
There is no evidence of any wrongdoing between by Biden, by Joe Biden, or by Hunter Biden.
It's true that there's no evidence of any wrongdoing by Vice President Biden or that Hunter Biden broke any laws at all.
What it confirms is that Hunter Biden is a person of integrity.
Hunter has done nothing wrong.
I've never read a memoir like this one before. This is Hunter Biden's book, Beautiful Things. It's breathtaking.
There is no evidence of any wrongdoing by either Joe or Hunter Biden.
A bogus investigation of Joe Biden and Hunter Biden.
Let's be clear, Hunter Biden didn't do anything illegal, and his father, the vice president, didn't do anything illegal or unethical.
It demonstrates the lifetime of integrity that have been represented by the Bidens for their entire careers.
My favorite part of that is Stelter. It's just so feminine. It's breathtaking. Different degrees of punishment are obviously appropriate for different crimes. There are different levels of crimes. But I think you and I can both agree on something without a doubt. Punishment's necessary, right? It is necessary, and the punishment should match, the severity of the punishment should match the severity of the crime. That's nothing I've said here is exactly radical. I know you're thinking, yeah, Jesse, this is obvious. Okay, well, that brings me to something. Because it's been a day or two now where Durham gave his testimony before Congress. Durham, did the report. He did the report on all the malfeasance at the FBI, DOJ, and we found out they lied a million times. They've lied about basically everything. They made a bunch of things up. And then there's a part of the testimony that just jumped out at me. It jumped off the page at me. The part of the testimony where Durham talks about FBI agents coming up to him and, well, here's what he said.
I have had any number of FBI agents who I've worked with over the years, some are retired, some are still in place, who have come to me and apologized for the manner in which that investigation was undertaken. This is not an easy fix. I mean, it's going to take time to rebuild the public's confidence in the institution. Rather, what is required is accountability.
Yeah. They apologized, and it's going to take time. It's like time and accountability. What? I'm sorry? They said sorry? Hey, sorry. Hey, we need some trust back. Oh, it'll take time. It's going to take some time. I'd love to use that excuse. I think I'll take the microphone off here and I'll grab my gun and I'll go down to the bank right now and I'll go stick a gun in somebody's face and steal all the money in the bank. And then when the cops come kicking my door to arrest me for robbing the bank, I'll say, hello, sorry, I apologized already. Look, I know you're mad. I know the bank's mad. I get it. Hey, guys, it's going to take time. All right, just give it some time. Give it some time. I'm sorry. Let's take time. What? What's happening right now at the Federal Bureau of Investigation will end the United States of America. I'm not being over the top. I'm not just doing a bit. What is happening right now with the Federal Bureau of Investigation turning itself into a secret state police agency that works as the enforcement arm and protection arm of the Democrats in this country, it will bring about a civil war. It will break this country in two and end the nation. And so when you do an investigation into the Federal Bureau of Investigation and you find out they've lied about everything on behalf of Democrats and they've lied about everything so they can go after Republicans, you're going to have to forgive me. Maybe it's time for me to say sorry, but sorry doesn't cut it. And you know what else doesn't cut it? It's going to take time. It's going to take time, guys. We just need some time. As if it's a boyfriend who offended his girlfriend in some way. I know you're mad, honey, but let's take some time. We'll take time together. People have to go to prison. Not gangbangers. Not bank robbers. Not this or that tax cheat. People with FBI badges on and security clearances have to go to prison. And I don't mean one guy. I don't mean some lackey you drag out of the mailroom and say, whoa, look, we found the culprit. We found Bob in a mailroom. This is the guy, send him to prison. I mean, public trials with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 FBI agents, maybe a group trial, standing there on television so the American public can watch secret state police agents be held accountable for their abuse of their authority, for their abuse of their power, for their abuse of the American people. I need to tell something to John Durham, to Republicans, to Democrats, to media members, FBI agents, everybody in the United States of America who watches I'm Right. I need to tell you something, and I don't care if this makes you mad. I don't care if it makes you uncomfortable. I don't really care if you don't believe me. What I'm about to tell you is 100% true. We will never save this country. It is impossible to save the United States of America unless government people go to prison for the things they've done to this nation. Government people. Empty out the federal penitentiaries for all I care and start putting government people in there. DOJ, IRS, FBI, NSA, CIA, politicians, Republican and Democrat. Just start a whole new wing for government people. Go to prison and go to prison for a long time. It will end the United States of America. Civil war is coming. Not tomorrow. I'm not being over the top. Eventually, it will get to the point where these secret state police agencies, they will force red states to form a coalition to protect themselves and their citizens against the federal government. And once that situation comes about, that will very likely spark a war where people die. It will end America. It will break apart the nation. So, Mr. Producer, would you please, with all that in mind, would you please, I know we just played it, would you play that soundbite of John Durham one more time, just so everybody can see just how far away the people within the system are from understanding what it's going to take to put Humpty Dumpty back together again?
I have had any number of FBI agents who I've worked with over the years. Some are retired, some are still in place, who have come to me and apologized for the manner in which that investigation was undertaken. This is not an easy fix. I mean, it's going to take time to rebuild the public's confidence in the institution. Rather, what is required is accountability.
They're sorry. And we're just going to need some time. We need time to heal and accountability. Kevin Kleinsmith lied to the FISA court so he could get a warrant to spy on an American citizen. Kevin Kleinsmith is not only not in prison, he's still practicing law. We are so far away from anything resembling accountability. It's staggering. You will know that the United States of America is back on track to being saved when government people, when FBI agents with badges are being marched off to Leavenworth. That's when you will know. Time. One of the things everybody studies, everyone who loves history studies the Roman Empire at one point or another in time. Everybody simply does. And when you study the Roman Empire, they will inevitably people will start talking about the fall of Rome. And what that means, when even was the fall of Rome? People argue about when it was. Was it when Rome split and half kind of became what we know as the Byzantines? So they'll argue about that. And people will argue, especially these historical types, they'll argue till they're blue in the face what was the beginning of the fall of Rome. Or how did we know that Rome was beginning to fall? What was it? And there's a story that I've always loved this one. I'm not saying I'm right, but I've always thought to myself, yeah, that's probably when we should have known, or they should have known, I wasn't alive, that Rome was on its way out. Germany, Germania, Germanic tribes, they ambushed Roman legions and slaughtered them. Absolutely slaughtered them. Maybe you've heard of the story, the Battle of a Teutoburg Forest. It's a fascinating, horrible story. But what you need to know is the Roman troops were betrayed by somebody who was close to them, and the Germanic tribes came down on them and they slaughtered them. And after they slaughtered them there, the Romans never really went back to that area ever again. Why do people say that was the beginning of the end? Because Rome historically, if it had been embarrassed publicly, internationally embarrassed like that at any other point in history, they would have mobilized every man who could swing a sword, and they would have gone and killed every Germanic tribe just to save face, just so the world knew you don't get to do that to Rome. But Rome was at that point in time where they said, hey, we're good. They got us. I think about this Anthony Blinken trip in China. And obviously it didn't begin with his trip to China. It began with how the Chinese, as soon as Anthony Blinken became Secretary of State, how the Chinese immediately disrespected him to his face.
So let me say here that in front of the Chinese side, the United States does not have the qualification to say that it wants to speak to China from a position of strength.
What? You don't get to talk to us from a position of strength? What? This is how other nations now feel about the United States of America, the world's juggernaut for the last 100 years. But it actually gets so much worse than that. And again, this is not about Anthony Blinken, or even, it's not even really about China. This is about what the world thinks of us. Is the world still afraid of us? You see, Taiwan is a nation. It's its own independent nation. It's not part of China. It's its own place. Anthony Blinken, fresh off a meeting with the Chinese, stepped up to the podium and had this to say.
On Taiwan, I reiterated the long-standing U.S. One China policy. We do not support Taiwan independence. We remain opposed to any unilateral changes to the status quo by either side.
We don't support independence? What? Now, that's quite a departure from Joe Biden when he had an off-the-cuff moment. You remember recently when he said, we'll step in and defend them.
But would U.S. forces defend the island?
Yes, if in fact there was an unprecedented attack.
To be clear, sir, U.S. forces, U.S. men and women, would defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion.
Yes.
Apparently, Joe got a little talking to. That went out the window, and Secretary of State Blinken flew over to China, hat in hand, and said, hey guys, we're sorry. Please don't be mad at us. We're not in a position of strength. Again, this is a small trip. I'm not going to make too much of one trip, but these little signs are so indicative of where we are. And gosh, that's sad, isn't it? Give them bread and circuses, and they'll never revolt. You've heard that before, right? Most people have heard of that before. That's from a Roman poet. Don't worry about who it is. It's not important for our conversation here. But what is important is, what did he mean by that? We'll talk about the Hunter Biden stuff in a moment. Where's that going? Well, here's where it's going. The people, if the people are upset, or if the people are living under a corrupt system, and they know it's a corrupt system, you must placate them. You don't have to give them justice. You don't have to clean up the system. You don't have to change your ways. You don't have to do any of those things if you're in power. Find something to distract them. Find something to placate them, to calm them down. If they're angry, hungry masses are in front of you and they say, we're starving, just show up with a wagon and toss out some loaves of bread. And they'll go from being angry to thanking you. Wow, you were so generous. Thanks for the free bread. Stalin. You obviously know who Joseph Stalin is. Totalitarian dictator, murdered almost as many people as Mao did, horrific human being. You know that. And Stalin controlled everything, didn't he? Stalin controlled the news. Stalin controlled the arts. Stalin controlled the economy. Every single thing was managed. Nobody was allowed to step out of line. But did you know there was an opposition party? An opposition party to Stalin? Did you know that he allowed it? He encouraged it? And in fact, he organized it? Now, why would he do that? Why would this human being who organized and controlled everything censored, everything is run through Stalin, why would he allow an opposition party? They even would make some public statements that disagreed with Stalin. Stalin would kill his own family members for disagreeing with him, and he allowed an opposition party to do that? Why would he do that? Well, because the people needed to be placated. Every tyrant knows instinctively that he can abuse the people around him, he can do whatever he wants to a point. But you can't get the people too mad. Just make sure they don't ever dial it up to 11. Turn it down a little bit. You have to placate them with something. No, it's not one-party rule here in the Soviet Union. What? Look, the opposition party's right there. You have options for sure. What's going on with Hunter Biden? With the Hunter Biden sweetheart deal? Well, what's going on is the system has witnessed your anger. They're very aware of how angry you are, that there is no justice system for the elites, certainly the elite Democrats. They all get off scot-free. If you're Donald Trump, if you're a Republican, they're going to lock you in a cage forever. If you're a Democrat, do whatever you want. They know you're mad. They've seen you be mad. They closely monitor social media. They're listening to all of our phone calls after all. They know you're angry. They understand that. And they know you're getting a little too angry. Man, the people are getting spicy. How do we dial that down a bit? Well, how you dial it down a bit is you bust Hunter Biden. You say, yeah, Hunter Biden's a criminal. Man, I can't believe this tax stuff. Whoa! And that gun charge? Ugh. You know what? He's going to have to enter a plea deal. But while we weren't looking, everything kind of got swept up inside of that plea deal, and they washed it all away. You see, Hunter Biden is not just a tax evader. Hunter Biden is a felon, and so is his father. These are human beings who've used their position of power to take bribes from foreign entities to enrich themselves and sell out the United States of America. By all rights, Hunter Biden should never see the outside of a prison cell again. And if you or I did what Hunter Biden did, we would not. We'd be in Fort Leavenworth for the rest of our lives. But they know they can't do that. And they also can't just let him off scot-free. Hey, he's innocent, because no one would believe that. So what do? They pat you on the head and they say, look, we got him, guys. We got him. You remember that child custody case? He was going through in Arkansas, the stripper he knocked up, and then, of course, he ran out on her, abandoned his child. He's a real quality human being. and that he was going through a civil case there. And this civil case was supposed to be the case where all his lies were exposed, because we were going to get to dig into all of his finances. But while you were sleeping, all that went away too. Finished, gone. Joe Biden was asked about it and gave the same canned, meaningless answer he always has.
I'm very proud of my son.
Very proud. He's very proud of his son. Very proud of. What does that mean? Well, Joe Biden understands exactly how this game works. Remember when he was asked about it time and time again on the campaign trail? And what did he say? Time and time again. No one said he did anything wrong. Who said he did anything wrong? What does that mean? I mean, it's nothing. Everyone said he did something wrong. What are you talking about? But Joe understands that we live in a late-stage republic, a completely corrupt system, and he'll be allowed to give these canned answers, and he'll have the entire U.S. media out there running cover for him like they have been doing.
And it shows that no one is above the law, which is important, not even the president's son.
The fact that son of the president was investigated by the government and charged is actually evidence that no one is above the law in America. That's a good thing.
Obviously, you're already hearing a lot of shouting, oh, sweetheart deal, oh, this, oh, that.
This is not a sweetheart deal. It's a deal. I think it's a good deal for Hunter Biden in that he will stay out of prison and end up with only 2 misdemeanors on his record. But it's certainly not a sweetheart deal out of line with what happens in the rest of the country.
They focus on this and say, oh, my God, 2-tier standard of justice. He got a sweetheart deal. And you're like, guys, I mean, you just sound like morons.
And yet, if this wasn't Hunter Biden, it is likely he wouldn't have been prosecuted at all.
It indicates that the prosecutor's gone out of his way to charge everything that could have been charged.
He went out of his way to charge everything that could have been charged. Is that a fact? Well, that's funny because I remember, maybe you remember this too, I remember this laptop. I remember Hunter Biden had a laptop. Do you remember this? Hunter Biden had a laptop. And because he's a degenerate and has serious mental problems, he not only commits an endless amount of crimes, he records all of them. Hunter Biden apparently has never committed a crime that he doesn't want to record on his phone or wherever he records it. And not only does he record all of his crimes, he uploads all of them onto his laptop. That alone is wild. But then, this is the best part, Hunter Biden, with the criminal laptop, the laptop with evidence of all of his crimes, he then takes it down to a computer repair shop and says, hey, update the hard drive or something or whatever he told them, and just kind of left it there. Just forgot about it. And computer repair shops all have this disclaimer that they get to take possession of your laptop if you leave it there for so long. They never hear from you. And he just left it there. And soon this computer guy gets a hold of all these crimes of Hunter Biden. And he understandably calls the FBI and says, the son of the vice president, then Vice President Joe Biden, is a felon, and I have all the evidence here. And the FBI says, oh my goodness, that's terrible. Hang on, let's go check that out. 2019, the FBI went down and took possession of Hunter Biden's laptop containing evidence of his crimes and his father's crimes. Now, whatever did happen to that laptop, whatever did happen to it, are they still looking into it? Well, here's Hunter Biden's lawyer.
Do you have any idea if Hunter Biden's laptop had anything to do with this investigation? Was it used?
I don't. No, I don't. I mean,
were you ever asked about it?
I can't recall being asked about it, to be honest with you. But there's nothing about the situation that's been filed that has a thing to do with the laptop.
Why not?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the prosecutors.
They didn't even ask about it. Laptop? What? Ha! Never heard of her. All that may have made you uncomfortable, but I am right.
For too long, we've been led to believe that communism is a thing of the past. But the truth is, communism is alive. It's here, and it's infiltrating every aspect of American life. Introducing the Anti-Communist Manifesto by Jesse Kelly, the practical guide for patriots ready to defend our nation from its most dangerous enemy. Discover the shocking extent of communist infiltration in our education system, their alliance with American corporations, and the twisted truth behind environmentalism. This eye-opening book exposes the true face of communism and empowers you to fight back. Join the fight for freedom. Pre-order your copy of the Anti-Communist Manifesto today by going to jessekellybook.com.